a question directly, we can unmute you and you be able to interact with the panelists directly towards the end of our presentation. Before we get started with the panelists, though, it's a pleasure to welcome our head of school, Ms. Carol Killebrew, who is going to bring you a welcome on behalf of the faculty and staff at Salem.
Thank you so much, Ms. Watts. I really appreciate it. And hello to everybody. I see a lot of familiar faces from the Salem Academy alumni group that is just so vital for this academy. And I see some new faces of some prospective students, and I think I saw some current students on the list too. So thank you all. I am thrilled to be here and to always be a part of a Salem Academy alumni event. It is just so important what a girls' school can do for networking, for asking questions, for mentoring, for support. I myself graduated from a girls' school, and I had an alumni panel from my school just a few days ago. So it's something that just stays with you forever, and it's a unique opportunity to really be able to ask questions. So I'm going to quit talking so that you can hear from these magnificent women who graduated from Salem Academy at all different times in all different situations. I don't think anyone was in a pandemic like we are now, but our current seniors will be on a panel in a couple years and be telling about that. So thank you for including me, and I look forward to hearing from everybody. Thanks.
Thank you, Ms. Killebrew. I think I muted myself accidentally again. So the goal of our panel is to give our prospective students and families a glimpse into what our graduates do after Salem. And this is really important because when you come to Salem, you enter into a sisterhood and a legacy that goes back almost 250 years. Once you're a Salemite, anywhere you go or anytime you encounter another Salem woman, you have an instant bond. We bond over our traditions, over our friendships, and over a shared experience that shaped all of our lives. Salem women will always be there for you, whether you're a current Salem student or at any point in your life, if you've been out 1 year or 50 years, the Salem grads are always there for you as friends, as mentors. They're there to help you find an internship or find your first job or find your way around a new city. And so the Salem bond and the Salem legacy is really important to us. In celebration of that and the experience of a lifetime that you will have at Salem Academy, let's meet our panelists. I'm going to call on them one by their first name, and they'll introduce themselves, tell you when they graduated from Salem Academy, where they went to college, and what they're doing now. So we will start off with Daniela.
Hi, I'm Daniela DeCristo. I graduated with Emily Ruiz in the class of 2012, and I went on to go to UNC Chapel Hill and major in biology. And right now I am pursuing a master's degree in genetic counseling.
Thank you, Daniela. I'm going to call next on Alison. Alison, you're muted.
Sorry. Hi, I'm
okay.
Alison. Hi, I'm Alison Dudley Meyer, and I graduated in 1991 from Salem Academy. I had lived in Los Angeles for 22 years and just moved back to Winston-Salem about 2.5 years ago, and I'm glad to be back on Southern soil.
Thank you. Abigail.
Hello, my name is Abigail Wooker. I graduated from the Academy last year, class of 2019. I'm now a Park Scholar at NC State, majoring in mechanical engineering and possibly electrical and computer engineering as well.
Thank you, Abigail. Chia.
Hi everyone, I'm Chia Mishai Amanda, and I graduated from the Academy in 2014. I went on to Wofford College and graduated there in 2018. I live in Winston-Salem, and I work in clinical research.
Thank you. And then Abrea.
Hello, good evening, everyone. My name is Priya Armstrong, and I graduated from the Academy in 2009, actually the same year, with Daniela's older sister, Molly, who is now literally curing cancer, like literally curing cancer. So when she said genetics, I was like, of course. I was like, of course, like you're exceptional. Like I expect that much. But I left the Academy and went to college in New York City at St. John's University, where I majored in Spanish language and literature. And then I came back home because I was offered a full scholarship and stipend to get my master's in business management from Wake Forest University. And now I am currently the marketing and communications coordinator for the Innovation Quarter, and I'm actually just 3 floors above Chia, so I see her all the time.
Great. So those Salem bonds are strong, as I mentioned. I also mentioned traditions as something that's important to us. So we're going to start off with kind of a fun, light-hearted question. I'm going to call on each person and ask them to tell us what team they were on, because purple and gold are an important tradition, and then maybe one of their favorite Academy traditions. Okay, Abrea looks like she wants to go first. She's holding up her purple. Abrea.
I'm laughing because I am so purple. I am so purple. And Catherine, forgive me, I forgot what you said after that part. I just got excited about the purple.
A tradition, a favorite Academy tradition.
I have to talk about it. I have to talk about it. So if any of the women on this on the camera are shaking their head, because what I'm showing here is our senior ring. It is the emblem of who we are as a sisterhood. And whenever you see this ring out in the world, you will be like, you. And that's actually how Chia and I found each other. We were out on the street and I said, I have that ring. Like, how did this happen? So ring banquet, when you get the rings, the freshmen, they prepare everything. So it gives the freshmen an opportunity to bond. It also, they take the freshmen off campus for a weekend. They go out and they just start building, creating together. And it's so critical and important that you do these things, because literally one of the girls that I went to, that was at freshman retreat with, I was at her wedding. There's more weddings at the end of the summer of girls who I was at freshman retreat with. So just know that ring banquet, when you get this ring, as well as freshman retreat, are going to be some of the most pivotal and memorable moments in your life. You're going to love it. I can't wait to see what each of you comes up with on the inside of their ring, because we all get them personalized.
Great. Is there another alumna that would like to answer that question? Favorite tradition?
I would go. I am gold through and through. And Emily, I think, has a little bit more spirit about that, but I am just very proud to be on the gold team. But I just want to piggyback onto what Abrea said, like, yeah, the ring banquet is definitely my favorite tradition, just because it brings everyone together, and there's really nothing like it. Like, running down to get your ring is something that's really, really special.
Abigail, do you have one to add?
Yes, I am team gold through and through, which is nice because the senior rings are actually, you can get them in gold. So of course I had to match. I'd say my favorite tradition was probably smush cake. It sounds really weird and is pretty weird to explain to someone not from Salem, but every senior gets a cupcake full of little charms that predict your future, and you get it as a senior and you get to open it and find all the little charms, and it's just a really fun time for the whole community to come together.
Great, thank you. Does anybody else have another one to add?
I do. I was team purple, so go purple, woo. And my favorite tradition happened every single day, but that was cookie break. I absolutely loved cookie break. And when I went to college, I literally had to take snacks into my class at that exact same time because the transition was very difficult. So cookie break was a great one.
Awesome, awesome.
And
Okay,
Catherine,
Alison,
can I just add why these traditions are important?
yes, please.
Because I think on the surface, it's like, why does cookie break matter? Why does it matter? But why it matters is, if I don't think anything has changed, but middle school sucked. It really sucked. It's because you don't know where you fit. You don't know where you belong. You don't know who your true friends are. You don't know who anyone is, right? Like, you're just getting there, you're awkward, you don't even know yourself. But what these traditions allow you to do is to discover the woman that you are, as well as the woman that the women around you are. So I just wanted to add that.
Thank you. That's one of the wonderful things about a girls' school, is that the traditions really stay with us and they don't change much. Sometimes they adapt with the times a little bit, but they're things that are cross-generational and they're really important to us. Okay, my next question is this. Could each specific academic kind of experience or a Jan term internship that had an impact on you, perhaps what you chose to major in college or the career path that you chose? Who wants to? Alison, yes. You're muted, Alison.
Goodness, twice in a row. I'm so sorry.
That's okay.
So I had two wonderful Jan term internships. The first one when I was a junior was at Brunswick and Fee in New York. And I stayed on the Upper East Side with a Salem Academy alumni who was nice enough to open up her home to me. And I would take the subway and go down to Brunswick and Fee, which is one of the top French fabric houses in the world. And I met all sorts of famous interior designers, and I got to work in various aspects of the company. My second Jan term internship was at Renolda House Museum of American Art here in Winston-Salem. And because of the academic excellence that Salem Academy offered, I was allowed into a program that had for decades only been offered to college students from across the country. And that was just a wonderful experience. Because of working in the museum, when I went off to Smith College and then to Columbia University, I studied art history. When I landed in Los Angeles, I worked in Sotheby's in the fine arts department, and my first sale was the Jackie Onassis sale, which was incredible. And also after that, I had a National Endowment for the Arts curatorial position, which typically is awarded to people who have already received their PhDs, and I had not yet done that. And so I think, again, Salem Academy sets you up with so much success and offers you opportunities with alumni from around the world, across the country, and locally that can help you move forward in your career. And after museums, I decided to open my own business, which also had a creative aspect for it. I had a stationery company, and my clients were Will Smith and Jennifer Aniston for many, many years. And now in my third iteration of my career, I have a branding company, and it all started with Salem Academy.
Thank you. Who else would like to take that question? Special Jan term internship or an academic experience? Abigail.
Hello. So my junior year, I had the privilege of interning at NASA headquarters, and my advisor for that internship is actually on the call right now, Miss Groman. So thank you for everything. It was an incredible internship in the Office of Strategic Infrastructure. And also, I apologize, my computer just died, so I'm actually Zooming from my phone right now for the first time, which is kind of weird. So I'm sending some random chats that I didn't realize. But yeah, going back to the internship, I never would have had that experience without Salem, and it was one of the special internships that Salem actually offered. So I applied for it and got to go. And now from my first year in college already, one of the research labs I've been working in is doing research funded by NASA, doing zero gravity flight testing on composite space booms. So it feels like it's kind of starting to come full circle, and it all started at Salem.
Anyone else?
I absolutely have to tag on to what Abigail just said. First of all, Abigail, wow. Like, wow, I need to get my life together. Like, you are, woo. Okay, so Jan term, so two things. So when you're a freshman or sophomore, you take classes. So I'm gonna start there with some of the electives that I took. So the key one that I took was creative writing with Dr. Cook. And from literally that class is what started the writer that I am today. As I mentioned earlier, I work in marketing communications. That's exactly where that came from, was from those Jan term classes. I started just writing and really stuck with it, and then just found a way to monetize it. And it led to, because I know we've got some young people on the call, I'm gonna drop some names. So I started interning for XXL Magazine. This is in college. So interviewing people like Chance the Rapper, Flatbush Zombies, Fabulous, Pusha T, a lot of great, incredible musicians. So that's the classes. And then on the internship side, I interned in DC on Capitol Hill, both my junior and senior year. My senior year was the inauguration of Barack Obama. What a great time to be in Washington, D.C., regardless of how you felt. The energy was something else. And to bring it to today, I've not only run for political office, I also was communications director for political campaign, this prize primary. And actually today, and everyone please put positive vibes out there about this, is why I'm bringing it up. I actually am in the running for communications director for the North Carolina ACLU. So please, everyone put positive vibes. And I'm saying this to the girls because I'm 28 years old. I'm 28 years old and I'm already being considered for director level positions. Salem sets you up for success. Salem is what told me that even though I'm looking at these qualifications that I need, but know that there are other people who probably exceed them even more than I do, but knowing that I can do this job in a way that no one else can. And Salem taught me that.
Thank you. Anything else? Anybody else on that one? Okay, let me ask you this, Daniela. I'm going to call on you for a specific question. Tell us how Salem prepared you for a career in the STEM field.
Sure. This is kind of why I didn't want to answer the last question, because it's so similar to this one. Just like my academic experience was incredible with a lot of the teachers, but especially Miss Spencer and Miss Sorrells that teach at Salem. Miss Spencer teaches biology and AP biology, and Miss Sorrells teaches calculus. They were just such incredible mentors during my time at Salem. And I think, like Priya was saying, I think what Salem really teaches you about is to consider more about like your mindset about things. And why I chose to go into STEM, I started really thinking about not only how the environment impacts me, but how I can in turn impact the environment. And so I was really interested in that and pursuing that in college, and then kind of found my way into just like the complexities and such of genetics, and just found it really fascinating and a complete puzzle. And it's just such a new field in medicine. So I was really motivated to pursue a career in that, which is how I ended up in genetic counseling.
Great, thank you. Chia, I know you're currently in sort of a high stress field because I think you're dealing with some of the COVID-19 issues. And I'm wondering if you can reflect on how Salem prepared you to deal with some of the stresses and the daily challenges of your job.
Yeah, definitely. So as I mentioned before, I work for a clinical research company, and we're actually conducting a clinical trial with Oracle and Wake Forest Baptist Health. And it was a really unique opportunity that the CEO of my company saw an opportunity for and connected the different groups just through connections that she had. And so I think the one thing that Salem gave me was just critical thinking skills, and being able to see a problem and solve it and move quickly and not being afraid of whatever that problem may be. And so in this, like in my role, I do marketing, communications, and patient engagement. And so I work with the team to engage all of the patients in this trial. So I'm trying to get patients enrolled in the study. And so I've been trying to figure out different ways to recruit patients, get the information out about the study, and then just find ways to share information about COVID-19 so that people know why they should participate in the study. So just those critical thinking skills have been like key for me. So I really appreciate that.
That's great. Alison, you are an entrepreneur and a small business owner. Are there soft skills or things that you learned at Salem that you really find help you even today, a few years down the road since you graduated?
Absolutely. I think teamwork would be the most important. As captain of varsity soccer and captain of varsity volleyball, not only did I learn how to lead a team, but also work with everybody and, I also think that our ability to work independently and ask good questions to ourselves and to others to sort of put together a narrative and what we're doing. And I'm speaking specifically from like a branding, marketing, advertising point of view. Those would be probably the two most important for me.
Mm-hmm. Great. Abigail, I'm going to call on you because you're just a year out and you've, I guess, finished your first year at NC State University. How did Salem prepare you for success and for the transition to college?
So the transition to college was a lot easier than I expected because I was a boarding student at Salem. So I already had the experience of living away from home, which was so helpful and made it a lot less stressful in the long run. I think the most surprising thing that Salem prepared me for was how to prosper in male-dominated fields, especially in mechanical engineering. In both of the research labs I work in, I'm the only female there, which I was really surprised by, but Salem gave me the confidence and background that I could just jump right in and figure it out. That so far it's all been working out pretty well. And Salem also really taught me how to ask for help and how to have a lot of humility, because honestly, a lot of the times I don't know exactly what's going on, and it's a good thing to ask for help and just learn from every experience.
Great, great. I know that you all are aware as panelists that many of the folks on this call and on this Zoom meeting are young people who are not even in high school yet. So thinking back, if you could, to when you were in their shoes, when you were in the 7th or 8th grade and looking ahead to your high school experience, before you even got to Salem Academy, what advice would you give to yourself and consequently to these young people about thinking ahead towards high school? Anybody want to tackle that one? Alison.
Can you repeat the question one more time?
Yes, if you could think back to when you were maybe in the 8th grade or getting ready to go to high school and at Salem Academy, what advice would you like to give to yourself if you could speak to your younger self and then thus to these young girls that are looking at Salem Academy? What advice would you have?
I would say join in every single club that you possibly can to figure out what you like. And you know, just go for every opportunity. Make friends from people around the world. And I remember when I went in, at first I was a day student, and my senior year I boarded. So my freshman year, I kind of stuck to a lot of the day students because we were all coming from Summit School and, you know, places where we kind of had known each other. But really, I think try to make friends with all those boarders as well.
Good
to
advice.
piggyback off of what Alison said, I had a similar experience. So I came from Summit and I was really close with the girls that I transferred in with. But I found that as I expanded and made new friends, that I've had like lasting friendships. So some of my like really great friends right now, I still have from Salem, and that's carried through college. Like we didn't get to the same colleges, but we still keep in touch. So that's been great.
Thank you. Any other words of advice for the students on the call?
I just encourage you all to dream. And it connects to what Alison was saying in terms of exploring who you not only are, but who you want to be. Just really just dream of who if you think of the best version, like what you want the grown version of you to be, start creating incremental steps that lead you toward that woman. So whether it's, oh, I want to be a woman who knows art, who knows how to play tennis. I was on the tennis team, who can speak Korean per meeting the boarding students. Like, make incremental steps so that you can get to that place. Because whatever your dream is, whatever, like literally, and Daniela can attest to this, within our top 4 graduates. Lusa studied studio art. Molly was what, like microbiology, something kind of along those lines, cancer biology. Rebecca did something along those lines too, but like they each, but just think about it. We're literally going from cancer research to studio art, and they all found a place and a way to do well. So just dream and know that at Salem, there are the avenues and mechanisms and conduits to get you there.
Perfect, thank you. Any other words of wisdom? Okay, so what I want to do now is give each of you a chance just to say either a favorite memory of your time at Salem Academy or what made your experience unique. If you had to sum it up in kind of almost like a closing statement, what is it that you would like to say about your experience, either a favorite memory or what made it truly unique for you? Who'd like to go first? Okay, Allison.
I would say that it was kind of a bittersweet memory, but graduation. Just that wonderful feeling that we had made it through all those classes and experiences and really bonded. And then we were kind of going off into the world, you know, and that was sad, but we knew like we had this bond, and all of my friends at Salem, my close-knit group, we are still in touch. I have friends that are in South Korea and we talk constantly. I've got friends that are in Dallas and Los Angeles, and it's wonderful to know that you have a network that you bonded with. And then also knowing that there's this whole alumni association with whom you are going to get to know, you know, when you graduate. And the women are truly, as you can see from this panel, they exhibit excellence. So if you're looking for a career or a, you know, internship, looking for career advice, come to the Alumni Association. We are all here for you.
Thank you. Anybody else? What makes your Salem Academy experience unique? Abigail.
I think one of my favorite parts about the Salem experience was just constantly being surrounded by such motivated people, whether it be the students or the faculty. That personally really motivated me. So whether we were going off to the World Robotics Competition in Houston, Texas for a week, that in itself was a super motivating experience. But also then coming back and then having such accommodating faculty who were willing to work with you to make up a week of school you missed, or just encourage you along the way was incredible.
Thank you. Daniela, anything to add?
Sure, I kind of have two. One was a week where I had an experience where 8 of us were able to travel with Miss T, who we went to Beijing, China during the summer with 2 of the students who were from China touring us around the city, and one of my classmates' uncles hosted us, and that was an incredible experience, really unique, and such an amazing like window into their lives, because you know, it's just not every day you get to travel, especially during this time, but to be able to travel with your friends and experience like their home was something that was really cool. And then the other one is a really short one. During Christmas, like assembly, we always sing the 12 Days of Christmas, and like each class there's a competition who can like yell the loudest at like their little part, and I just remember my classmates like totally going for it, and just like that is such a fun day of just like singing the 12 Days of Christmas.
That's great, thank you. Chia.
Yeah, for me, it was the sports and just being involved in like 3 sports during the year. Just traveling with the team, and then every day at practice. I feel like that was like so much fun, and it happened every day. So yeah.
Great. Priya, what made your experience unique?
What I'll say, like, above all else, is just the women, right? It really is. The women that come to Salem are so incredible. And the thing is like, we're not any more special or different from any other girl. I think every girl kind of comes in just like this diamond in the rough. And somehow through the process, we like magically come out 4 years later, these beautiful gems that have full scholarships to schools. But so it's really the women. But what hasn't been mentioned that I want to make sure is said is how this network is not only does it apply to not only apply to the academy, but it also extends into the college. So right before this call, I literally had a mentoring call with, I don't know if any of you happen to know, her name is Joy Day, who is a college alum. And so just know, like, so your network is going to be so much bigger than just the Academy sisters. If you go and if you run into a college sister, and there are some Salem brothers, but if you run into them, it'll be equal to meeting an Academy sister. The network is that big. And there's also all these great stats about, girls' schools and how, like, we're most likely to be leaders and all that kind of stuff. It's all true. And it's just because of the women and what we go through together and how we build and develop together as a group.
Thank you. So we've had a really good question come in from one of our guests who asked if one of you, and I think I'm going to call on Abigail since she's the most recent, could you describe a typical day at Salem Academy, what it looks like for a boarding student and a day student? Like, what's the same, what might be different? But the question was about how a typical day is for boarding and day students.
I'd say it varies a lot depending on the student. I was someone who really enjoyed waking up early, so I would get up around 6 or 7, maybe study for a little bit, and then go down to breakfast. And I really enjoyed eating meals with all of my Salem sisters. That's something that I really miss a lot. Kind of random, but that was really fun. And then you go to class, and then I played a sport every season. So you'd go to sports in the afternoon or evening, and then depending on the time of year, you'd go to be a part of the theater production, whether you were behind the scenes working on hair and makeup or you were an actor. That was a really fun experience to get to play a part of. I never acted, but I was backstage working on hair and makeup for a couple shows. And then in the evenings, it was a mixture of homework and hanging out with friends a lot of time as a boarding student. That's and just a rough overview.
Great. What would you say for your day student friends? Is their day different in some ways?
I'd say the transportation time honestly was the biggest difference, but even a lot of the day students would go straight to sports practice after school and then go to play rehearsal or other activities or have club meetings. So they were there on campus so much, and a lot of my day student friends would sometimes spend the night as well. So you can be as involved in campus life as you want. And so a lot of my day student friends seemed like boarding students.
Great. Abigail, I love it. You're a mechanical engineer who knows how to do hair and makeup. That's perfect. Another question has come in, and any of you all can answer it, although Abigail, again, has the most recent experience. Someone has asked, if you've never played a team sport before, are there teams for you to join? Are there cuts? Same question for theater productions. Is there a spot for everyone in those productions? Oh, Priya wants to say something. Go ahead.
So I actually learned how to play tennis at Salem. When I got to Salem, I did not know how to play tennis, but they had something, and I'm sure Miss Howard, because she plays tennis, who's the athletic director, I'm sure she will be there when you get there. I do not doubt that. But we would have something called a spring tennis clinic. And so no matter what level of expert or, skill you had, you could come out to the clinic. And then worst case scenario, or like if you were the worst of the tennis clinic, but you were dedicated to answer your second part of the question, Sarah, like what they would do is they would just, like, for example, just kind of keep you on JV. Like, instead of, you might not necessarily jump all the way to varsity automatically, but they'll give you a spot on JV. They'll make sure that you especially get to play like doubles and singles. And by the time you become, you know, an upperclassman, you've been training and working. And so now you've got that premier. So by the time I graduated, I was co-captain of the tennis team and I played number 3 on varsity. So just know you can come in with never hitting a ball, kicking a ball, and they will take the time to make sure that you get there. That has been my experience.
Anybody want to comment on theater? Abigail.
I definitely want to echo that as well. I'd never played soccer before, and then by my senior year, I was a soccer team captain. So they really accept anyone. Even by senior year, I was not good at soccer, but was I motivated and excited about soccer? Yes. Could I kick the ball every time? No. But and that was also a very similar experience with theater as well. Even if you hadn't acted before, you could still try out for every play, or audition, sorry, not try out. So you can really just jump in and they will teach you along the entire way. So it's super welcoming for whatever you want to try. And that was also the same with the robotics team as well. I had no robotics experience. And then my sophomore year, we were going to Worlds. So you can really try anything you want.
Okay, are there other questions? Does anybody else want to ask a question through the chat feature or be unmuted to ask a question live? Do any of our alums on the, oh yes, Peyton, yes.
I'm curious about, did anybody take art?
Anybody have a background or experience with art classes at Salem?
Mm-hmm.
Alison, yes. You're muted.
I'm sorry. Third time in a row. Good grief. Yes, I took a lot of art classes, and they're really fabulous at the Academy. We had options to do sculpture, mixed media. Printmaking was my favorite, and I loved the fact that you could try so many different mediums in art, and then if you wanted to specialize, you could focus on it. And I think they still have the publication, correct, that does poetry and creative writing, academe, yes. So I should remember that because I was one of the editors. But I there's a way at Salem that it wasn't just exploring, but it was being able to tell your story to the wider community and audience. So you had academe, and then also we would have art shows that were shown over at the college campus. And that way, when people were coming in to hear, Glee Club or coming into theater performances, could see all of your artwork.
And I just want to add a success story, Peyton, just because I want you to understand how very real this is. So I don't know if you remembered, like I said, that one of my classmates who graduated with me, she went to get her BFA. But what I didn't mention is where she got her BFA from. So she went to Dartmouth for undergrad, and then she just graduated from NYU with her MFA. And again, we are all 28 years old, and she is already a professor, an assistant professor down in Florida because of all of these things that we just talked about. So just know you can 100% come to Salem and not only do your art, but also thrive in that space. So thank you for asking.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Anybody else have a question?
I believe we have a question in the chat.
Let's see. Okay. So the question is, any advice for someone joining Salem as a 10th grader? And if one of our panelists doesn't have that, I know one of our other alums, Shelley, says that she came in not as a 9th grader, but later. So if we could unmute Shelley, I think she could probably answer that question.
Sure. Hi, everyone. Thanks, Catherine. So yeah, I was a transfer student midway through my sophomore year. Came in as a boarding student. My family was in Ohio, so as you can imagine, it was certainly quite the transition. Honestly, it was the best decision I ever made. And I took that first semester as, let's just give it a try. Why not? The worst thing that happens is like, go back, or find another school. And honestly, truly, again, best decision I ever made. Bria's laughing because we became friends and we worked on Academe together, the literary and art magazine. So, just so many good memories. And yes, it was challenging coming in midway through the year. If I could have gone back, I would have started as a freshman. But thinking back, even at the beginning of my sophomore year, it still would have been so life-changing. Because the amazing thing about it is that this is not the kind of school where someone starts freshman year and it's the same group of people who graduate. Like, this is a place where people come in at any stage in life. We had people who graduated with me who came in their senior year, came in their junior year. I mean, those are hard years to transfer, and they became part of our family. So it doesn't matter if you come midway through the year, if you come, senior year, we will welcome you both as alumni, as students, as faculty, and you will hit the ground running. There will be a transition, I'll be honest. There is always a transition. Just like going from 8th grade to being a freshman, just like all of these alums on the call made even going from Salem into college. It's just different. It might be easier when you go to college, I'll say, but it's just a different transition. But I really encourage you to take that leap, because you can do like I did and say, hey, let's give it a try. And I bet you're going to love it.
Thank you, Shelley. Other questions? Other comments? I want to thank our alums who joined us as panelists, as well as the alums who joined us as participants, and say welcome to all of the prospective students and families that are part of this presentation. We are just delighted to have a chance to talk with you more about Salem. And I will just say, I think you can tell from our panelists that Salem women are committed to excellence. They are committed to be leaders and making a difference in the world around them. And the thing that I notice about Salem Academy girls is they are kind to each other. So if you're thinking of coming to Salem, you'll find a family of motivated people and people that welcome you as, Shelley said, as a family member. And I've just always really loved to see the kindness and the camaraderie that exists among Salem students, and then that extends into the alumni body. So I hope that you know that all of Salem extends a hand of welcome to you, and we really look forward to those of you that are planning to come in the fall, or those of you that are still thinking about coming in the fall or thinking about coming in a future term. If you have questions later, please feel free to reach out to the admission staff. We'll all wave, Ms. Ruiz, Ms. Rogers, and me, and we would be delighted to fill in any gaps of questions or information that you need. And once again, everybody, have a good evening. Stay safe, stay sane, stay well, and thanks for joining us. Bye-bye.
Bye, ladies.